Hi there, Scorpio. Welcome to a love reading for May 2024. It's Rena here. Gosh, I keep getting this card. Okay, that's right. I'm only doing 4 cards. This reading is for single Scorpios as well as those who are in troubled relationships. Okay. The first card I have is the Four of Swords. So this really suggests somebody who's pulling away from whatever is going on. So I feel like if you're single, maybe you had some kind of, you see like she's got her hand over her eyes. Maybe you're recovering from a not so pleasant relationship. And I would say, especially for like a Scorpio individual, that kind of thing can lead to a person being very gun shy. Like, I don't know if I want to put myself out there anymore because if this happens again, I'll just be like, I can't take this. This is way too much work. This is way too much trouble. This drains me. Because you're a water sign, you really feel things emotionally. And this is, swords can be about air, the element of air. So it might even be a person that you have met or are dealing with, a Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, but your elements couldn't be more different. So it can be a little bit difficult to have common ground. But I would say too, just in terms of like somebody who's married, you might be separated. I would see the Four of Swords as separation because when a person separates, I think that the whole point of separation is to be able to kind of get some mental space away from that individual to get your thoughts in order. Four is a number of order. And recovery, that's what the Four of Swords can represent. Like, if you've been through a stressful situation, not putting yourself in that way means, or to see if there's any salvaging the relationship. Taking space is what they call it sometimes, allows you to think your own thoughts without somebody breathing down your neck right there trying to tell you what to think. Not that, that would go over very well with Scorpios, trying to tell them what to think. Queen of Cups, this is a very psychic card. Now, this is the card of the mother, but even for males, if you're single, you may be wanting children. And so that can really play into things. Like, for instance, a Scorpio person who has really devoted their 20s into their 30s to career, but is always looking at that biological clock. Even a male, even though you could be having children later on in life, you still might want to find that person that you can have children with. And that's all a process. So you just might realize that, whoa, I haven't been cultivating this and I have to do so. So you might be doing that. Now, another thing about this card is it's connected to being psychic. So I would extend that to spirituality. And, perhaps there is, you've had dreams about a specific person. I've heard about this, where somebody will dream about their face. And so they really don't want to date randomly because they know that, or I'm assuming they don't want to date randomly because they already can see in their mind's eye who that person is. And until they find that person, it's like just kind of wasting their time. So you may be having a strong hunch about your love life at the moment, or it could simply be that you are in feminine mode. So this has nothing to do with your gender. The feminine means that it is magnetic, which means that it is passive and therefore receptive. There are times when it makes sense to be able to go out there and just try to meet that person, and you're very active and you're doing it. But there are times when you may feel more like not being overt about it, just kind of waiting for it to come to you. And that would be something that you would have to know in your mind, that that is where you're at. Nobody can tell you that. I can't tell you that. Just because I'm doing this reading for Scorpio doesn't mean that that would be true for everybody. But if it is, then that's all that matters, because I'm giving you that validation, if you will. So I'm going to hold this card up upright, but I picked it in the reverse position. This is the Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups in the upright position is about family harmony. So if you are coupled and you have a family, it definitely is showing this disharmony. And you have to remember that, um, sometimes people who are married, who are in unhappy marriages, will say, well, I have a child, so that's why I'm there. And usually I'm like, bullshit. You know why? You know that you're there because you don't want to make that shift. It's too messy. It's going to, you know, create upheaval in your life. But what you have to remember is that it could be affecting the family dynamics as a whole. Even if you're not somebody, even if you take great care not to argue in front of your children, the undercurrent, the negative undercurrent is probably still going to be very, very apparent. And any child who is fairly perceptive will probably tune into it. You would be surprised. And another thing too is that if you really want a relationship that works, and you know in your heart of hearts that you do not have that with your current partner, I would say that the sooner that you admit that to yourself and that you make peace with that, the easier it can be to move on and to allow that vacuum to be filled by the universe in terms of someone that is more suitable coming into your reality. So keep that in mind if you're inclined to stay in a situation that you really know is not going anywhere. Um, and then the last card I got is the Ten of Wands. For people who are coupled, this can indicate heavy lifting in the relationship, which really just validates what I said before about it being a dead end relationship. If you have to do all or most of the work to keep that relationship afloat, then you know that the other person is not as invested in it as you are. And of course, that doesn't feel good. So sometimes people will try to counter that by, maybe they create this false narrative to make themselves feel that it really is mutual. Um, Ten of Wands can be doing for someone else what they need to be doing for themselves. So that can involve codependency that has nothing to do with any kind of romance or anything, but it does have to do with the relationship itself. It could indicate that the relationship is not really a relationship of equals. If you are doing a lot of the work, or maybe equals isn't the right word, but of equal people who are equally invested and interested in the relationship. So look at that. It can be an uphill battle. But it can also be for single people that you're coming into a busy period in work where you might not be able to um, necessarily invest time in dating. So, if that's the case, understand that you can't do everything at once. So, sometimes people complain, but they're not really looking at their, how they have participated in that. And, with the Four of Swords, that is a card of like this idea of a person who is, taking a breather from maybe even their work too, if they've just burnt out. The Ten of Wands can be burnout, and the Four of Swords, it might be like, it's like this cycle where you work too hard and then you have to recover and then you go and work hard again, but you never have this consistency, and it makes it hard to date because you're either like recovering from your work or you're working too much. So keep that in mind. Same with people who are married. If you're complaining about the other person, or even like somebody who is just dating, but you're the one who always calls that person, look at that, because do you really want to invest your energy into something where it's a one-way street, perhaps, in a lot of ways? Or, is it possible that if you let go, like the Queen of Cups, if you're like more in that passive mode, that it will perhaps come to you? Be a cute little experiment to do. Okay, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.